Alright, hello everybody. Friendly Red here, back with some more initial impressions. 22 years on from the original Kirby Air Ride's release, and a little over 7 months since the sequel is officially unveiled, Kirby Air Riders is finally here. I've been having a blast playing it so far, and wanted to take some time to go over the game and talk about all the core game modes within, as well as some other aspects and features of this long-awaited sequel that I feel are worth highlighting. With that, let's get into the impressions of the initial variety. Like its GameCube predecessor, Kirby Air Riders is an easy-to-learn, hard-to-master racing game spin-off of the Kirby series. Though, calling it just a racing game is probably doing it a bit of a disservice, as the mechanics and different ways that you can play the game really make Kirby Air Riders very different from its mascot kart racing contemporaries, and really, most racing games in general. For starters, you aren't really racing cars or karts of any kind in this game, but rather, hoverboard-like devices known as air ride machines. These machines all automatically accelerate on their own at all times, and each one has its own set of unique stats and properties. And then there's the copy abilities in the game. Like in the mainline Kirby games, as you race around in the various different game modes, you'll sometimes come across enemies which, if inhaled, will grant you access to their powers, which you can use against other racers or more enemies on the map to slow them down or knock them out entirely, all while providing yourself with bursts of speed as you hit targets with your copy ability. Additionally, all racers can perform a standard melee spin attack by wiggling the control stick, which also acts as another way to get bursts of speed if you hit racers or enemies with it. Combine all this with the dozens of different playable characters that you can choose from, who also have their own differing stats, traits, and special abilities, and it leads to a plethora of different options available to players, and is a huge step up from the original Kirby Air Ride on GameCube, which featured far less characters, powers, and vehicles to choose from. When it comes to actually playing Kirby Air Riders, there's 3 main modes you can spend your time in. The standard air ride mode, where you face off against computers or other players in fast, hectic lap-based rallies on one of 18 different courses. The top ride mode, which features similar gameplay and objectives to Air Ride, but with much smaller and simplified maps, all viewed from a top-down angle, almost akin to slot car racing. And finally, City Trial, aka the best mode. City Trial tasks you and up to 15 other players to traverse a large map for a standard setting of 5 minutes, collecting different power-ups and stat boosts throughout to prepare for a final challenge at the end to determine a winner, with dozens of different events possible, from standard races, square attacks, knockout fest, and so much more. It's an insanely addicting and immensely fun mode, with all kinds of craziness occurring throughout any given match. Not only because of all the chaos caused by you and other players, but also by random world events that can occur that can really spice things up or drastically alter the course of the match. City Trial was my and many others' favorite way to play the original Kirby Air Ride, and I can confidently say that that remains true for Air Riders. I've spent pretty much all my time with the game thus far in City Trial, and it's where I see myself gravitating towards basically any time I pop the game in, both now and in the future. Air Ride is still good fun, and I'm sure I'll continue to play it every now and then, especially as I still need to unlock all the tracks for it, but it's not really where I see myself getting the most out of the game. And the same could be said for Top Ride, as that mode, to me, is just a simpler, less interesting version of Air Ride. But that's not to discredit it or anything though, not at all. The Top Ride still features plenty of its own unique gameplay mechanics, items, and stages. It is very much a worthwhile portion of the entire Air Ride's package. It's just not really my preferred way to play is all. And hey, on the topic of ways to play again, I suppose I sort of lied earlier when I said that there's 3 modes to spend your time in, as there is one other major mode in the game to discuss, known as Road Trip, which combines the 3 primary modes of Air Riders and mashes them together to create a pretty cool offering that lets you jump between all the different ways to play seamlessly. Road Trip essentially acts as your primary single-player story mode for Kirby Air Riders, and it's structured somewhat similarly to something like Classic Mode from Super Smash Bros. After picking your rider of choice, you'll set out on, well, a road trip, and traverse through numerous different branching paths throughout the campaign, occasionally being presented with fancy cutscenes that give context to everything that's occurring. Along the way, you'll collect different air ride machines to use, and gain the same power-ups for yourself and your machines from City Trial by participating in different selectable challenges that pop up. These can be all kinds of different things, from standard air ride races, top ride races, time attacks, challenge runs, individual stadium event challenges from the City Trial mode, and probably lots more that I've yet to see or experience for myself. I've yet to reach the conclusion of Road Trip, probably on account of the fact that I'm spending all of my time in City Trial, but based on what I have experienced thus far, I think it's a fun mode, and outside of providing the game with a narrative, I think it's cool that it essentially acts as a shuffle feature within the game itself, allowing you to play all kinds of variations of all the different core game modes on offer. It's a great way to get an overview of everything in Kirby Air Riders, and serves as an excellent showcase to anyone who may want to know what all you can do in the game. And hey, maybe some days you may just not have a preference as to what you want to do or play, so you could always just hop into Road Trip and see where the open road takes you. Regardless of where you decide to spend your time in Air Riders, you'll be in for some fast, action-packed races or other activities. You can certainly get a bit busy, and perhaps a bit too hectic at times, particularly near the end of city trial matches where you've collected high double-digit or triple-digit amounts of power-ups, but it never becomes so much to the point that it's unenjoyable or anything like that. I personally really enjoy the speed and snappiness of the game, and all the different characters, machines, powers, and items working together with the core gameplay mechanics and gameplay modes really do help this game stand out from pretty much any other racing game I can think of. It's one thing to have such a radically different racing game to play, but to have one that's on the level of Kirby Air Riders, its insane amount of content, polish, and amount of choices available to the player, it really makes this something special.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, time!
That should just about do it for my thoughts on the core modes for Air Riders, but there's a few other tidbits I want to go over here before wrapping up. As you might expect from a game directed by Masahiro Sakurai, Air Riders is packed to the brim with content and features, and it's not just in the main game modes. Menus are so lively, colorful, and full of personality and character, and perusing them isn't just a treat for the eyes, but also one for the ears, as the main menu theme is incredibly catchy, and does such a good job of getting you excited to get into the game.
Air Ride. City Trial.
Unsurprisingly, the rest of the soundtrack holds up just as well, and much like in the Super Smash Bros. Games, you can freely customize how often certain tracks will play in all of the core game modes via the ever-trusty My Music menu. Speaking of customizing, Air Riders also allows players to acquire all kinds of different cosmetic items that you can use to customize all your unlocked riders and machines via in-game currency. There's quite a bit on offer, and you can even share your own custom machines online for other players to save to their own collection, and browse what they have on offer as well to add to yours. I've already seen some incredible looking machines, and I've even dabbled in the creation process myself, and created a custom machine of my own that mimics the design of a line of weapon cosmetics from Counter-Strike Go/CS2, known as the Asimov line, which I've personally always found appealing and very cool looking, so I decided to bring that aesthetic here into Air Riders. If you're more into achievement hunting, or are a completionist, Sakurai's got you covered as well, as there are massive challenge walls to clear for each of the 3 main game modes, and one for online play related achievements as well, which should keep even the most die-hard players busy for a while, I would imagine. There's so much more too, with live events scheduled to occur for online play, personal stat tracking and records to view, replays, profile license cards customization, and this weird side mode that allows you to just mess around with gummy versions of the different machines in the game. This probably wasn't a super necessary thing to include, but it's a fun random addition, and it, alongside everything else included, really goes to show that Sakurai meant it when he said he and his team put their all into this game. They delivered a truly amazing sequel that serves as the ultimate Kirby Air Ride experience, and a game that's undoubtedly one of the finest racing games, let alone games in general, on the Switch 2 so far. Now, if you'll excuse me, I think there are some trials in a city nearby that I must attend to. But, with all that being said, I think that'll do it for this video. If you made it to the end, I thank you for watching. Your continued viewership and support is greatly appreciated. Hope I was able to entertain, inform, and perhaps interest you in participating in some city trials yourself. Or, playing any other parts of the game, that's fine too. And last, but certainly not least, as always, I'll see you next time.